want war. Crying babies looking for food, starvation, the recipe, people subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day in every crew. Don't let it go, it's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Even 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a dead old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in the way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't fear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ab, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.
All right. It is a wonderful, beautiful morning in Copenhagen, Denmark. As an American living outside of the U.S., sunny day. It's a sunny day. It's the 20th of what's this month? 20th of August, right? You know, it's a work day coming up for me, but I'm going to enjoy the weather while it lasts. But I can tell you, as an American living in Denmark, you get a chance to see things from the outside. You get a chance to look outside the glass and look into the U.S. and watch how people relate to each other. Watch how they relate to each other. Watch the comments that come out. And then you get to listen to Danes talk and how they relate to each other and others, first, second generation Danes. And I'll be damned, I got to tell you, most people that migrate to Denmark tend to appreciate the tax system, tend to appreciate universal health care, tend to appreciate universal education. Yes, universal education. That means no matter what situation you're in, it doesn't hold back your kids' dreams. It doesn't become this systemic generational curse like you have going on in the U.S. And by the way, you hear people complaining about it in the U.S. all the time in their own way. Some of them may not even think, they're so used to doing it, they don't even think it sounds like complaining. And that is quite a kicker. But you can see that from the outside a lot of times, you know. Let's be honest. Republicans hate the country when liberals, quote unquote, have any say in it. They hate it, and they express that hate. They express it. They blame liberals for the failures of the entire country. And usually it comes down to things like DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. Republicans tend to like tokenism instead. That's they don't want you to have any education. They just want your face out there. Here's another black coon. Here we go. We got one. Throw him out there in front. Mark Robinson from Governor Mark Robinson, or wannabe Governor Mark Robinson from North Carolina. Throw them out there. Let's throw the token out there and tell the Negroes how you the ones that should be paying for reparations. Yeah, Republicans, they prefer those kind of black faces. They don't want just black folk that actually go to school getting a job. Not in their White House. No, they don't want that. No. You get to see the complaints from the outside. And to be honest, you don't hear these kind of nutty complaints. It doesn't come down to that. And when you get outside of the U.S., people pretty much understand everybody needs health care, that's a good thing when you get sick. Everyone pretty much understands education is something that strengthens the society, not just the individual. That's not how Republicans look at it. They don't see how education strengthens the society, not just the individual. Everything is individualistic when it comes to the real things you need. The things that everybody needs, then it becomes individualistic. Education strengthens the society. Republicans don't want public education. They don't want public education for technical schools. They don't want public education for universities and hospitals. They don't want that. They want to turn something that benefits the whole society into a rat race, into a competition, into a classism thing. Who can afford it and who can't? That's what they want to do. So you can see that through everything that they do. And when you get outside of it, it becomes even clearer. It became even clearer to me as an American living outside of the U.S. So God bless Denmark. Thank you very much. Danes are very kind people. Now, they like to take up their fights, but they're not lunatics. They don't start trying to gut all the other things. They built this model. They created this model. They have a capitalistic engine, and they stand on this model. And they're going to survive with or without the U.S. That's how they look at it. They protect their language, protect their culture by giving everybody equal access to it, to participate in it. That's a different thing. See, that's something they see strengthening the society. Norway also, exactly, the Scandinavian. Also, they believe giving people access to the society is what strengthens and preserves the society. Republicans don't see it that way. No. They want parallel societies running around in the entire country. And then they want those parallel societies so they can point fingers and then go clean it up with a trash truck. You know what I'm saying? Just knock down everything and just let it be washed over by monsoons. Republicans, they even see disaster relief as an individual thing. It's up to who had the money and who don't. No federal role in that. No. You just keep paying the same federal taxes though while we talk about this, y'all. You Republicans in your red states, keep paying your taxes. Your house just got swallowed up. Keep going to work and keep paying your goddamn taxes while we take a vacation. That's how Republicans operate. That's how they like it. They love it. And as long as you give them some little meat about some Hispanic they can pick up from delivering pizza and some black kid they can harass on his own block for smoking a cigarette, they're happy with that. They cool with that because, after all, they have crime in their own towns. They got junkies in their own towns. They have men sitting around with cars that aren't registered. No, but see, they don't even want policing in Republican states. They don't want policing. And if you look at how many police are in red states per person, you will see a huge decrease in it. Meanwhile, DC had more police before Trump than any other place on earth per square foot. If these same people that pay federal taxes say, hey, help fund our public school systems, Congress, since we're a federal state, Congress says, we don't really think that's the way to go about it. No. We want crime on the streets. We don't want you having a job. That's what's going on in DC. When they say, hey, federal government, help us build housing for the homeless, federal government and Congress say, we don't know if you need that, so we can go and clean up this, so we can have our picture opportunity. We're cleaning up the streets, the homeless. Yo, they completely bypass DC. And DC has more qualified people leading in every in every field than the goddamn Congress has. These people in Congress are just elected monkeys. To be honest with you, a lot of them, Mike Johnson is a monkey. And he's the leader of the Republican Congress. He is a guy who does what he is bought to do and paid to do. Nothing else. He cares zero about his state. That's why him and his state's people will get flooded and destroyed through natural disasters. And they will sit back and say, well, President Trump says this and President Trump says that. Well, let's just keep it real. These things are going to change. Trump is scared. The Republicans are scared because they don't care enough about their own states to clean up trash. They're not in a hurry to clean up trash in their own states. They're not in a hurry to build any disaster relief shit. Every time a hurricane comes, they want the electricity cutting off. A flood. Every time a flood comes, they want the electricity cutting off. They don't want people in their homes. They want people to have to evacuate the whole state so they can come in and the rich folks can give them a penny on a dollar and buy up their land. That's what they want. That's what they want. So right now we have no Republican leadership. But let's talk a little bit about who they did set up to try to to lead the Department of Justice in D.C. Oh my God! I mean, this is the level of expertise. This is who we got cleaning up Washington D.C. A damn drunk.
Was it a passing notion or a lingering obsession? The state attorney general candidate may have spoken more than once about the possibility of eavesdropping on her husband. Jonathan Deans joins us now with exclusive new details. Jonathan?
Perry Sue, Janine Pirro denies any criminal wrongdoing and claims all she did was complain about her husband to former police commissioner Bernard Kerik. But now News Channel 4 has learned phone conversations between the two, allegedly about a plan to spy on her husband, might have taken place over a longer period of time than we first reported.
Shout out to Keith Edward.
Angry over her husband's alleged affair, last summer Janine Pirro called Bernie Kerik and apparently complained that for weeks she had been waiting for Kerik's people to act to plant a recording device on her husband's boat. Records now in the hands of new...
Oh, you mean a criminal? Not even a surprise. Not even a surprise.
Numerous defense attorneys and at least 6 different state and federal agencies show Pirro complained about Kerik's investigator. Quote, he went through the whole thing about, who had the right to be on the boat and all this stuff. And I said to him, look, I said, it's the boat's in his name, but I have a right to be on it. I'd like to go on it with you when my husband...
So she's a pick-me. That's basically what it is. Now I get it.
Husband is playing golf. He wasn't comfortable with that. And with that, I just said, thank you very much. He said he couldn't trust the fact that, at some point I might say that he did it. And I got to tell you, Bernie, he wasted a month of my time. Kerik responds, the issue is the legality of being on the boat.
Hey, Kennedy, is what you're watching a lie? This is Gene Shapiro. This is a Trump appointee. Is this the truth or is this a lie? Is this the truth or is this a lie? Let's hear it. Oh, maybe it's AI and maybe it never really happened, says the Russian trolls out there. Russian trolls have fused with MAGA, MAGA minds. MAGA don't have completely free minds. It's like the Matrix, you know what I mean? Seriously.
Vote after the fact. Yesterday, Pirro explained her talks with Kerik this way.
And I didn't do anything here other than vent.
Republican Pirro is handling this investigation by denying the allegations and trying to attack the professionalism of prosecutors. U.S. Attorney Michael Garcia is a career prosecutor who was appointed by Republican President Bush. But Pirro again claimed one of the assistant U.S. attorneys on the case is biased, in part because he also prosecuted her husband on tax fraud charges years ago.
Oh, look at this. This is crazy. Look. So her whole damn house is full of criminals. Her husband committing tax fraud, and she's out there trying to wiretap his ass over an affair. Check this out. This is crazy. You know, this is who's in charge of the DOJ in D.C. now. You cleaning up the streets by hiring a criminal, promoting a criminal. Wouldn't be the first time you hired someone of incompetence. You hired Acostas. He let Jeffrey Epstein off. You hired Pam Bondi. She worked in the same department. She worked in the same DOJ as Acostas when they gave Epstein a slap on the wrist, right? You did that. Madame Maxwell said that she owned the DA. She owned the FBI. Looks like they still do.
I am calling upon the United States Attorney, Alberto Gonzales, to begin an investigation, to appoint a special prosecutor.
Yesterday, News Channel 4 first reported the existence of these conversations between Carrick and Pirro and how the two apparently discussed whether it was a crime to plant the device. Carrick says, quote, "But Janine, I'm having the same problem with everybody. Everybody is panic-stricken because it's you. I've gone out on a limb. I had two other people looking at this. It's a problem." Pirro, "What am I supposed to do, Bernie? Watch her every night? What am I supposed to do?"
Was it a passing notion or a lingering obsession? The state attorney general candidate
That sounds
may
incredibly
have spoken
desperate.
more than once about the possibility of eavesdropping on her husband. Jonathan Deans joins us now with exclusive new details. Jonathan?
Yeah. We have to watch this twice. Hey, you MAGA people out there, you are Americans. I appreciate your voice and your ideas and your views. Is this real?
Perry Sue, Janine Pirro denies any criminal
Put a 1 in the chat if this is real.
wrongdoing and claims all she did was complain about her husband to former police commissioner Bernard Carrick. But now News Channel 4 has learned phone conversations between the two, allegedly about a plan to spy on her husband, might have taken place over a longer period of time than we first reported. Angry over her husband's alleged affair last summer, Janine Pirro called Bernie Carrick and apparently complained that for weeks she had been waiting for Carrick's people to act to plant a recording device on her husband's boat. Records now in the hands of numerous defense attorneys and at least 6 different state and federal agencies show Pirro complained about Carrick's investigator. Quote, "He went through the whole thing about, who had the right to be on the boat and all this stuff."
Should I do my own enactment of this? Look, he went through his own thing about who had the right to be on the boat, and he said she did and I didn't.
And I said to him, "Look," I said, "it's the boat's in his name, but I have a right to be on it."
I told him it's the boat's in his name. Well, there it is, lady. Goddamn, you're supposed to know something about the law. Don't you understand it's not your property? Goddamn. Don't you understand you don't have the control over his body? You don't understand that? You could divorce him, but you are a pick-me. You're running around like, pick me. Why is he picking her? Lady, goddamn.
I'd like to go on it with
And you know something? I bet she has had an abortion too. She's a damn hypocrite.
you when my husband is playing golf. He wasn't comfortable with that. And with that, I just said, "Thank you very much." He said he couldn't trust the fact that, at some point I might say that he did it. And
Is it her face like Harris fucked us? I mean, something ain't right about that. That face, anyway, I don't want to go. Let's just say her personality is fucked up.
I got to tell you, Bernie, he wasted a month of my time. Carrick responds, "The issue is the legality of being on the boat after the fact." Yesterday, Pirro explained her talks with Carrick this way.
And I didn't do.
This is the lady who wanted to prosecute the sandwich man. Ha ha, now teach him a lesson. We're going to hit the sandwich man with federal charges. Ha ha, there you go, liberals. Laugh at that. This is the lady.
Other than vent.
Republican Pirro is handling this investigation by denying the allegations and trying to attack the professionalism of prosecutors. U.S. Attorney Michael Garcia is a career prosecutor who was appointed by Republican President Bush. But Pirro again claimed one of the assistant U.S. attorneys on the case is biased, in part because he also prosecuted her husband on tax fraud charges years ago.
I am calling upon the...
So, in case you didn't hear that, the guy that's prosecuted her for spying, for trying to plant cameras and spy on her husband, literally. I mean, they got, this lady is crazy. But not only is she crazy, her husband was prosecuted for tax fraud. He's a Republican too. You see, and they were leading a state at that time. You see what I'm saying? They're like all up in the state's business, supposed to be protecting people, supposed to be telling other people what to do, and they're breaking the law themselves with impunity. And they're going to sit up here, she's going to sit up here and try to lecture someone that comes from a state that she never spent 5 goddamn seconds in. How dare you, lady? How dare you? Anyone, anywhere in the world would kick you the fuck out of their town. It's just normal. Okay? If somebody came to butt fuck West Virginia and started telling these hicks over there, you need to do this, you need to do that, they would be like, who the fuck are you? Okay? It doesn't matter. No professional goes anywhere and acts hastily. There's things called anthropology. There's things called speak to the locals. There's things called work together with them to develop a comprehensive plan. That's what you're supposed to do. None of these people have wanted to engage in that. They're not participating in that. They are participating in showing up just like some goddamn Nazis, thinking they know better, and they don't even know the local law, let alone follow the law themselves. She doesn't follow law. She committed a crime. She is a criminal. She committed a criminal act. She may not have been prosecuted for it, but criminals commit criminal acts. Don't have to wait for them to be prosecuted. She probably got out of it like Jeffrey Epstein.
United States Attorney Alberto Gonzalez.
I mean, did she get the full force of the law on her for her crime? Did she get the full force of the law? But she'll give the sandwich man the full force of the law.
To begin an investigation, to appoint a special prosecutor.
Yesterday.
This your girl who asked, Mr. D. This is type her name in there. What is it? What the hell? It's the new lady that took over the DC DOJ. They wanted to put in there. Let me see something here. The feds be running that. Pirro. Isn't that her name? Pirro or something?
The state attorney general candidate may have spoken more than once about the possibility of eavesdropping on her husband. Jonathan Deans joins us now with exclusive new details. Jonathan?
Perry Sue, Janine Pirro denied.
Yeah, Janine Pirro. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure I got her name right. Pirro. Janine Pirro, the sandwich lady, the lady who wants to prosecute the sandwich man in D.C. for throwing the sandwich at the federal agent, right? And berating him, yelling in his face, and then clocking him upside the chest with a sandwich. She wanted to prosecute him with the full extent of the law. This is the actual lady herself. She's a hypocrite, a complete and total hypocrite.
Any criminal wrongdoing and claims all she did was complain about her husband to former police commissioner Bernard Kerik. But now News Channel 4 has learned phone conversations between the two, allegedly about a plan to spy on her husband, might have taken place over a longer period of time than we first reported.
The TV judge, exactly.
Angry over her husband's alleged affair, last summer Janine Pirro called Bernie Kerik and apparently complained that for weeks she had been waiting for Kerik's people to act to plant a recording device on her husband's boat. Records now in the hands of numerous defense attorneys and at least 6 different state and federal agencies show Pirro complained about Kerik's investigator. Quote, he went through the whole thing about, who had the right to be on the boat and all this stuff.
Sounds exactly like what these federal agents in DC are doing. They're responding to DC law that way. He went through the young man smoking a cigarette on his porch, went through this whole thing about he had the right to sit on his porch as his property and smoke his cigarette without being harassed by police. And I don't know, that's strange because in DC, you don't have the right to be outside in the public smoking weed, but being on your own property is not the public. That's private property. So, and these guys, they're just going around harassing who they want, doing what they want, brutalizing people. They're doing it for show to get some views on TV. So their little punk ass president, who is a puppet for Vladimir Putin, can pretend like he's doing something racist, because that's what a lot of these MAGA people only want. If you give them a choice between education, food on the table, decent salary after you work a full day's work to come home, if you give them a choice between that and harass some N-words and harass some Hispanics, they will choose harass the N-words and the Hispanics, like flat out. That's what they do when they elect their politicians in the Republican Party, and that's what the Republican parties do. If you gave them a choice between, hey, you could have disaster relief and some help and with warning over disasters that keep coming to your town every year, you could have disaster relief where we help you rebuild your house, versus harass some N-words in liberal towns and harass some Hispanics in liberal towns. They would choose harass the Hispanics in liberal town.
And I said to him, look, it's the boat's in his name, but I have a right to be on it. I'd like to go on it with you when my husband is playing golf. He wasn't comfortable with that. And with that, I just said, thank you very much. He said he couldn't trust the fact that, at some point I might say that he did it. And I got to...
J. Murph, is she a criminal? Is what she did to her husband a crime?
Got to tell you, Bernie, he wasted a month of my time. Carrick responds, the issue is the legality of being on the boat after...
Liz Boo Smart, is what she did a crime?
The fact.
Everybody, put a 1 in the chat if what she did is a crime.
Yesterday, Pirro explained her talks with Carrick this way.
And I didn't do anything here other than vent.
Republican Pirro is handling this investigation by denying the allegations and trying to attack the professionalism of prosecutors. U.S. Attorney Michael Garcia is a career prosecutor who was appointed by Republican President Bush. But Pirro again claimed one of the assistant U.S. attorneys on the case is biased, in part because he also prosecuted her husband on tax fraud charges years ago.
Thank you, Patrick. Bruyette. It's like, for some reason, some of these Americans have amnesia, don't really actually look at anything being passed in law, don't know who passed the laws, don't know who advocated for the laws. They're just sitting and basking in having the laws while those very laws are about to be taken away from them, even women's rights. But let's get back to the story. Not only was she found to be committing criminal acts, but her husband had already been found to commit criminal acts, and he's a Republican too. And these people are high up in the state, in their own state, fucking around with people. And then they want to go somewhere else to someone else's town and do the same thing. Ain't nobody having it. Get the hell out of town. And there will be lawsuits. And if there needs to be some physical reaction, there will be a physical reaction too. There will be a reaction in every way, shape, or form. Criminal charge reactions going after these people, the Trump administration. There will be civil charges for any person that is harmed. There will be lawyers looking for them, looking for victims of these federal agents. Yes, and documenting the stories in DC as they come in, every single one of them. Yes, and there will be a reaction. I can't wait for it.
I am calling upon the United States Attorney Alberto Gonzales to begin an investigation, to appoint a special prosecutor.
Yesterday, News Channel 4 first reported the existence of these conversations between Carrick and Pirro, and how the two apparently discussed whether it was a crime to plant the device. Carrick says, quote, "But Janine, I'm having the same problem with everybody. Everybody is panic-stricken because it's you. I've gone out on a limb. I had two other people looking at this. It's a problem."
Look, she went out and to get them to do it, and all the staff was like, what's this? What's wrong with this lady? We can't do this. This is a crime. Guess what? So some of you are trying to dodge whether she committed a crime or not. Okay, I got you. Prepared for that. So did her husband, who is a Republican, commit a crime? He was charged and convicted of tax evasion. Look, prosecuted. Look.
What am I supposed to do, Bernie? Watch him, her every night? What am I? And I got to tell you, Bernie, he wasted the right to be on the boat and all this stuff. Allegedly about a plan to spy on her husband might have taken place over a longer period of time than we first reported. Angry over her husband's alleged affair last summer, Janine Pirro called Bernie Carrick and apparently complained that for weeks she had been waiting for Carrick's people to act to plant a recording device on her husband's boat. Records now in the hands of numerous defense attorneys.
Carrick told her it's a damn crime.
And at least 6 different state and federal agencies show Pirro complained about Carrick's investigator. Quote, "He went through the whole thing about, who had the right to be on the boat and all this stuff. And I said to him, look, I said, it's the boat's in his name, but I have a right to be on it. I'd like to go on it with you."
So if the boat is in your name, Republicans, do I have the right to be on the boat? Is that a crime for me to come on your boat, Republicans, when you don't want me on your boat? Can I come on your boat? That's really what this comes down to. Not only can you not go on another person's private property, but you also cannot go on their private property and plant cameras. What the hell? What's wrong with you people? What's wrong with you people? What is it? Can I come to your town and do that in your house? Can I come in your house, Republican people? Everybody, let's go to red states and go up inside of their house and plant bugs and then sit back and listen to the trolls online debate about whether that's legal or not. Is that legal? Or is that a criminal act? There's people in the chat saying, we'll never know if that was a crime or not. Okay. Oh, really? We'll never know? How the hell don't you know if it's a crime or not? It's very basic. Follow the story. The woman was asking an investigator to go on to another man's private property and plant cameras. She suspected her husband of cheating. The man told her that's not legal. That's what's going on. His property. Get it? Boat is a property issue, just like a house is. You see, boat, house, same thing. Your property, not my property. Can I go on your property and plant bugs? Can I go on your property without your permission? Press 1 in the chat if I can go in your property without your permission. Put 1 in the chat if I can go on your property without your permission. And keep in mind, I'm a liberal. So beware of what you tell me now. But this question goes for anybody. Can anybody of any political affiliation or not go on your property without your permission? If you think so, put 1 in the chat. I mean, hey, look, not your daddy says, tell that to squatters. I'm asking you, can I come on your property? Can I come on your property without your permission? Can I? Can I do that? Can I hire someone else to do that too? Not your daddy? Can I? Put a 1 in the chat, not your daddy, if you give me permission to do that. If you think that's a crime, put 2. If you think it's a crime, put 2, everybody. If you want me to, press 1. Oh, Cole Reimer says, hey, I should be able to go on your damn property. Hey, Cole Reimer says he and everyone else should be able to go on your property. Your daddy? You see, he disagrees with you. Republicans are split on this issue, I could say. Democrats all know. Goddamn. And this is the crazy thing. Liberals will all be like, hell fucking no, you can't come on my property. Liberals all know that. What the hell? You know what I'm saying? You cannot go on another man's property. Anyway, What would you think if you just so had found out that her husband, the person that went on your property, what if you found out that the woman who requested someone go on your property and plant devices, that her own husband had been committing tax fraud? What would you think of her then? Would you think she's a good person? Put 1 in the chat. If you think she's a hypocrite, put 2. Thank you, Burkett. You can't go on it. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. It shouldn't matter what your gender is, what your political party affiliation is, your sexual orientation, your anything. This should be very simple. This should be a very simple issue that works for everyone. No man can go on a woman's property without her permission. No woman can go on a man's property without his permission. If it's his property, if it's his property, if it's her property, you can't. Not without her permission, and you damn sure can't plant no fucking cameras. What the heck? This is not how you deal with infidelity in your marriage. It's just not how you deal with that, if that's what she was up to. I mean, it sounds like that's what she was up to in all fairness, but damn, this is definitely not how you do it. Now, they found out later her husband had also been prosecuted for evading taxes. This is very similar to Trump. It's the same thing. And now this woman, even though he was cheating on her, and I think they're divorced now, I believe, I'm not sure. Maybe she's still married to him. I don't know. But she's leading the DOJ in DC right now. Of course, nobody's listening to her ass because people, of course, they swear to the Constitution and they swear to uphold the law. But stupid does not, rate higher than, you don't just follow stupid. You don't use the law as an excuse to do something stupid and disastrous to anyone or anything. So you're supposed to have a brain when you follow the law. You see what I mean? You also took an oath to not cause harm. You see? So, yeah.
With you when my husband is playing golf. He wasn't comfortable with that. And with that, I just said, thank you very much. He said he couldn't trust the fact that, at some point I might say that he did it. And I got to tell you, Bernie, he wasted a month of my time. Carrick responds, the issue is the legality of being on the boat.
Hello. Look, and he wasted a month of my time. She's supposed to be a criminal prosecutor herself. She doesn't know it's a crime, and she doesn't know the dude wasn't wasting her time. The dude was giving her good, solid advice. Hello, you're going to jail if I do this. He was helping her out. He should have turned her ass in. He should have reported her for insisting, and then contacted the FBI, then went in there and attempted to do it, talked on the phone and got her again. You really want me to do this? I'm just in front of his boat. Nobody's there. I can go in there and I can plant all the devices. Are you sure you want that? Yes, I do. And then so the feds can lock her ass up. That's not just a crime. That's a huge goddamn crime. That's a conspiracy. Come on. Anyway, enough said about her. She fell off the rocker. And now, of course, like most people that fall off the rocker, they get a job by Trump. So, that's that. Well, luckily, everybody's not putting up with Trump's bullshit. And neither am I, by the way. But that's easy for me to say because I'm an American that lives outside of the U.S. So, local law in the country that I live in, Denmark, has universal education and universal health care. So, children have rights too. You see what I mean? And you don't relive your parents' legacy. You're not forced to do that. So if your parents come up in poverty, had you be black or white or Christian or Muslim or Jew or gay or straight or any of those things, you don't have to live with that. At some point, you have the opportunity to go to school yourself, take any education yourself if you want. If you get sick, that's taken care of. There's not these systemic and generational things holding back certain people. If you want to do something, if you want to make something of yourself, you can, right? And by the way, they found a way to do it to where after you all pay for all your expenses, your monthly expenses, your housing, your water, your electricity, your food, your clothing, and then your taxes, right? All those things, education, all that stuff mixed into it, you take home more money in your pocket than the average American also. So they found a way to do it through cooperation and being reasonable, you could say. But that's another thing. In any case, what's going on in the U.S., and I'm proud to say, big up to Gavin Newsom. I appreciate him and I like the direction he's going in, because he's saying Americans don't have to sit down and take this bullshit. You don't have to take the verbal disrespect. You don't have to take the constant insults, the gaslighting. You don't have to take the bullying. You don't have to take none of it. Get active. Get active. Punch back.
California Governor Gavin Newsom and his team have figured out a very entertaining way to deal with Donald Trump at his own rhetorical level. They've got a new social media strategy that is both, I got to say, pretty damn funny and I think extremely effective, mocking the president with a spot-on impression of his very weird communication style. Since Newsom jumped into the ongoing redistricting fight, his official Twitter account has been posting Trump style. Donald is finished. He is no longer hot. First the hand, so tiny. And now me, Gavin C. Newsom, have taken away his step. Many are saying we can't even do the big stairs on Air Force One anymore. Uses the little baby stairs now. Sad. Has all the Trump trademarks, all capital letters, random quotation marks, little parentheticals. Sad. Taken away his step. And so tiny. Trump style. Donald is finished. He is no longer hot. First the hand, so tiny. And now me, Gavin C. Newsom, have taken away his step. Many are saying we can't even do the big stairs on Air Force One anymore. Uses the little baby stairs now. Sad. Has all the Trump trademarks, all capital letters, random quotation. Gavin C. Newsom have taken away his step. Many are saying we can't even do the big stairs on Air Force One anymore. Uses the little baby stairs now. Sad. Has all the Trump trademarks, all capital letters, random quotation marks, little parentheticals, complete unhinged absurdity. From just this morning, I thought this was a good one. I hate Kid Rock. GCN. Reference to Trump's infamous I hate Taylor Swift. Another drags the vice president into it. Not even JD Just Dance Vans can save Trump from the disastrous maps war he has started. Not even his eyeliner lines look as pretty as California maps.
You know, because you have to speak caveman language back to cavemen. If you try to speak something, you know, more that something a little more complex and detailed, they won't get it. They won't get it. You have to literally speak like them. See, what Trump is saying and how Trump speaks resonates to them. This is why they voted for him. They talk like this. They talk like this in their homes. They talk like this in their communities. They think like this. So Gavin Newsom has said, you know what? If they only understand this kind of talk, I mean, of course, it's not the best kind of talk, but if it's the only talk they respect, then we have to learn how to also speak their language too. And liberals can chew bubblegum and walk at the same time. We can do both. And I can do both. I got two vernaculars, by the way. You know, I have my work vernacular, my community vernacular. When I'm walking down the street, I'm meeting people that have some damn respect. And then I have another language for people that have no goddamn respect. And yes, I know how to talk to them too. I use a whole nother different language, like straight up. I do every day of the week. It's just natural. I think they call it code switching, you know, for me. But these folks, you know, this is different. This might have to be like code. We might have to code switch on that ass and do some more things, not just code switch. We may have to adapt as liberals. We may have to adapt our thinking to gun laws. Like, instead of try to limit them, just say, hey, every liberal needs a rifle in their home, a semi-automatic at the very least, so that it can be quickly adjusted to automatic also, just in case these maggots think that they're going to just come and kill all of us, because they hate Jews, they hate Muslims, they hate Hispanics, they hate blacks, no matter what you have contributed to the country. They hate Native Americans. They seem to think that they own the country, even though people like the Heritage Foundation, we already know this, The top ones, they barely have any real heritage that is American themselves, but they cloak themselves in the American flag just to fool the people. See, liberals don't cloak themselves in the American flag. They don't have to. We know what America is. We cloak ourselves in voting and writing laws, comprehensive immigration reform, which Republicans don't know a damn thing about. Nothing comprehensive, because they don't want to solve a problem. They just want photo ops.
Map lines. He will fail, as he always does. Sad, and I, the peacetime governor of our nation's favorite, will save America once again. Many are now calling me Gavin Christopher Columbus Newsom because of the maps. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Beyond the mockery of Trump's text posts, Newsom has also been posting Trump-style AI-generated images of himself, including this, I think, absolute masterpiece of Newsom deep in a moment of reflection or prayer, flanked by 3 MAGA icons and the laying of hands, Kid Rock, who he hates.
Oh, hell, Newsom. Oh, hell, Newsom. Oh, hell, Newsom. Yeah, we need to just go crazy brainwash on this Newsom idea and just become as belligerent about it, because sadly enough, these people have no problem being belligerent towards us. They hate us. You have to understand that. Jews, Muslims, women, gays, handicapped people, Hispanics, Asians, anybody, even certain, the white folks they they label liberal. This is a label that they put on them. Liberal. They hate this group of people. They hate them, and sooner or later, we're going to have to adapt if we want to survive. I'm not saying we have to be like them. We always have to be better than them, which we are. But we still need to adapt here and there because these people like to threaten people with physical violence. That cannot continue.
Hates Tucker Carlson and the angelic spirit of the recently departed Hulk Hogan. Again, a spot-on mockery of Trump, who isn't doing any of this satirically. What has been equally hilarious has been to watch the joke just go soaring over the heads of Trump's sycophants in the media.
For the last week, Gavin Newsom, why am I giving him advice? You have to stop it with the Twitter.
How do you support Trump? And when he writes all of this stuff, that's his problem. How do you support that and then not support Gavin Newsom doing it? How's that possible? What's the difference? Well, is it just you being a bigot?
Twitter thing. I don't know where his wife is. If I were his wife, I would say, "What? You are making a fool of yourself. Stop it. Do not let your staff tweet. And if you're doing it yourself, put the phone away and start over. And if you want, he's got a big job as governor of California, but if he wants an even bigger job, he has to be a little bit more serious."
Yes, right. Be more serious. Stop posting exactly like the President of the United States does. Newsom's account responded to that advice, quote, "Dana Ding Dong Perino, never heard of her until today, is melting down because of me, Gavin C. Newsom."
Dana Ding Dong Perino, never heard of her, and he never heard of her until today, by the way. Yeah, that's true. Who is she? She's nobody. Is melting down because of me, Gavin C. Newsom. Why is she, this nobody, have the nerve to talk about the wonderful, perfect Superman, Gavin Newsom, that's here to save our country from the bigots, from the maggots? How dare she? Who is she? I bet you she doesn't even have heritage in the United States of America. Who the hell does she think she is? Matter of fact, let me look her up because my family on both sides come from the United States of America from the beginning. Yes, they do. They come from the beginning of the country all the way. They really do. Yes. And thank you for that, Andrea Gary. I appreciate you. And, hey, why shouldn't we just also think about those things when it comes to looking into her? I bet you her family ain't. ain't I bet you her family has not been in the country as long as mine. Okay, most illiterate president in the world history. What literate person calls people's schoolyard names and uses the word hoax and loser? His college diploma has to be sick with it. You're absolutely right. And I couldn't agree more. And, actually, I gotta give you a prize, because this is the first time somebody surprised me with this. Actually, I forgot that YouTube does this even. So thank you again, Andre. Where you from, Andre? Let me know what city you from. Appreciate that. Now let's get on to this. She is Dana Ding Dong. Should we all just start talking to these people like that? I mean, I'm gonna tell you, I've never seen. I could speak for the city I grew up in. I've never seen professionals talk like Trump before in my life. I've never seen it. I've never seen professionals talk like Pirro. I've never seen it. I've never seen it. They speak in very discouraging terms, generally towards people, and disrespectful terms towards people. And in the city I grew up in, even if somebody didn't agree with you, they still knew how to communicate polite and respectfully to you. See, there's a difference between disagreement and respect. You see, like, you can still disagree and respect someone. In fact, your goddamn life depends on it. And that's a lesson some of these maggots gonna have to learn for them to survive. Just like Democrats have to learn some lessons, we might have to learn some lessons about arms, carrying arms in our homes, teaching our kids how to shoot some goddamn guns, since they want to openly hate us just for being who we are, since they want to tell us what we can do with our bodies like it's the slavery days, and they mean it. Maybe, maybe the Republicans can learn how to change if they want to survive too. Maybe they can learn how to not speak with so much disrespect when they simply disagree with someone. It's possible. You never know. I'm just saying, I'm not running for president, but I'm just saying. Let's continue.
Fox hate that I am America's most favorite governor, ratings king, saving America. Trump has lost his step and Fox is losing it because when I type, America now wins. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Again, it is a stark reminder, with someone else doing it, of how truly, utterly deranged our current president sounds whenever he communicates. And also how accustomed we've all become.
They are pedo defenders, and Lord, do they do a whole lot to defend pedos. All this is about defending pedos. They done found all types of other crimes, although they're the only people that hire folks that either get people off from committing crimes or commit crimes themselves. It's insane.
To this very, very weird behavior.
President Trump announced yesterday that he's drafting an executive order aimed at banning mail-in ballots. It's not clear when that will happen.
All right, this is the next story up, y'all.
Challenges if and when he does. But the president said that the topic came up actually during his Friday meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Vladimir Putin, smart guy, said you can't have an honest election with mail-in voting. And he said, there's not a country in the world that uses it now.
Mail-in ballots are corrupt.
Yeah, and see, so he said this. You must hear, we went over this, by the way. Check out my last stream or the one before last, because I trolled the hell out of Trump. Trump said his daddy Putin told him so. And then a day later, you hear him out there telling the press like it's his idea and he knows everything about it. He went from one day to the next. Vladimir Putin told me this, and then went on to saying, we're not going to hold elections. We're going to try to do this, and this is how. Like, this is what you call, if this dude can be so easily convinced to do anything, just if you flatter him a little bit, that is what you call a complete, utter imbecile.
Mail-in ballots, you can never have a real democracy.
Aimed at banning mail-in ballots.
Listen to this. He leans into it. You can never really have a real... Damn, that's like saying it's fake right now. Okay, is the democracy fake right now, maggots? Put a 1 in the chat. Only maggots now. Only MAGA folk. Liberals, stay out of this one, please. Maggots, is it a fake democracy right now? Put a 1 in the chat if it's a fake democracy, maggots. If it's a real democracy right now, put a 2 in the chat, maggots. Only MAGA people, please. And, you know, you call me liberal, so I'm going to call you a maggot. I'm actually a centrist, but I'm from the capital, you know. It's crazy. Yeah. If you think it's a fake democracy right now, put a 1 in the chat. Let me see here. Let's play it back.
That will happen. And yes, it will likely face legal challenges if and when he does. But the president said that the topic came up actually during his Friday meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Vladimir Putin, smart guy, said you can't have an honest election with mail-in voting.
So, according to you all maggots, all the elections since mail-in voting, so the election of Trump the last time was a fake election? Is that what you're saying? So the election, the Democrats say, hey, Trump won, that was a fake election? This last election that Democrats say Trump won, that's a fake election too? I mean, you see the world that we're living in? You see my fellow liberals? You see my fellow lefties? You see the world we're living in? The world where they want to have their cake and eat it too, but they don't want you to practice the same thing.
And okay. There's not a country in the world that uses it now.
Mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never have a real democracy.
And this is really visceral about it. This is what really digs into this dude's pathology. He sits there one day, immediately, not even 24 hours later, with Sean Hannity and literally says, you know what Putin told me? He's a smart man. He told me that having matter of fact, I'm sorry, he could say it better for himself. This stuff is just too loony. It's too loony. Let's go.
I love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said, your country is like hot as a pistol. And a year ago, he thought it was dead. I love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said, your country is like hot as a pistol. And a year ago, Vladimir Putin said something, one of the most interesting things. He said, your election was rigged because you have mail-in voting. He said, mail-in voting, every election. He said, no country has mail-in voting. It's impossible to have mail-in voting and have honest elections. And he said that to me. It was very interesting because we talked about 2020. He said, you won that election by so much. And that's how he got it. He said, and if you would have won, we wouldn't have had a war. You'd have all these millions of people alive now instead of dead.
You see how they string together so many of these simple-minded ass ideas? I mean, they just strung those together. Trump just strung all that simple-minded shit all together in one big... Yo, let me ask you, military, are there any veterans in the crowd, in the audience, in the chat, listening? If you are a veteran, if you are a service member, do you want to get rid of mail-in ballots? Because that's exactly what you do when you're on duty. How many of you are there? How many are in the U.S. military active duty outside of the U.S.? I mean, I'm sorry. This is, and I'm saying I'm sorry, and I'm not talking to MAGA people. I'm talking to Americans here. I'm sorry, my fellow Americans. This is utter incompetence. The man went from what Vladimir Putin told him one day in private, to go out in front of the nation again, talking like it's his idea and he already had a plan going and they're going to execute it right now, this and that. You see how fast? You just throw a suggestion in his head and this man is a narcissist. He is just going to wave the magic wand.
On social media. Brian, go first. You pushed out on social media about doing away with mail-in ballots and potentially electronic voting machines. Can you expand on that and how important that is?
Well, that's a very off-topic, just really quickly. Mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never have a real democracy with mail-in ballots. And we, as a Republican Party, are going to do everything.
You hear that? So all you military people that served during elections, you were serving for a democracy that wasn't even real. That's what Trump is saying, because you mailed your vote in, because you wanted to claim your right to your vote. At the same time, you stood proud and served your country in the defense of your country. Trump has now just eliminated all of you guys from the whole picture. He didn't even discuss how you're going to deal with people like you. He didn't even spend 1 second to say, but we're going to make exemptions for military personnel. No, he didn't say that. He hasn't even thought about it himself. He's going to leave it up to someone else to figure all of the details out. I mean, and it's only because Vladimir. Why is it? Everybody tell me why. Why are we listening to Trump with this new idea? Because who said it? Tell me. It's a one. Because who said it to him? Who said it to this man?
I love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do.
Because Vladimir told him. That's how valuable your life is as an American citizen. The poor people that have an education, the people that have an education and got kicked out of their home because they couldn't get a job or 2 jobs that could pay the amount of rent in their state or in their town. He's talking to you. Putin's voice is more valuable than yours. The middle class person, the student, the parent, Putin's voice is more important than yours. MAGA people, Putin's voice is more important because did you hear Putin advocate for some goddamn disaster relief money for you? No, he didn't. Did you hear Putin advocate for even, flood warning system? No, he didn't. Did you hear Putin advocate for universal health care for you? No. Education for you? No.
Vladimir Putin said something, one of the most interesting things. He said your election was rigged because you have mail-in voting. He said mail-in voting, every election. He said no country has mail-in voting. It's impossible to have mail-in voting and have.
Every civilized all Western nations have mail-in voting. Denmark, Sweden, Norway, UK, all of them have mail-in voting and more. What is he talking about? What the hell is he talking about? But then again, who told him this? Vladimir told me that no country has that.
Have honest elections.
And what did he do? He believed it because he went out there and said it to the public.
And he said that to me. It was very interesting because we talked about 2020. He said, you won that election by so much. And that's how he got it. He said, and if you would have won, we wouldn't have had a war. You'd have all these millions of people alive now instead of dead. And he said, and you lost.
You see how he just strung that together? And by the way, simpleton, guess what another simple thought is? Not only could we remove mail-in voting because no real country has that, nobody else has that but you, but also you could have avoided this war. How convenient, because he is talking to ignorant ass MAGA people that believe anything, the stupidest of goddamn ideas. Next thing you know, he's going to be saying, we could have got rid of homelessness if we got rid of mail-in voting. We could have got rid of all of our ills. This is the elixir. We're going to sell this idea to y'all. It's a do-all fixer, everybody. Ugh.
We lost it because of mail-in voting. It was a rigged election, but Vladimir Putin.
Oh my God. I mean, this is really just it's draining to hear such stupidity, but hey, fuck it.
Yesterday that he's drafting an executive order aimed at banning mail-in ballots. It's not clear when that will happen, and yes, it will likely face legal challenges if and when he does. But the president said that the topic came up actually during his Friday meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Vladimir Putin, smart guy, said you can't have an honest election with mail-in voting.
Listen, and this is the most realist statements you're going to get from Trump, because this is a Trump confessional. This is a Trump confessional. He is telling you how he gets his fucking ideas, and he's finally being honest about it. Yo, Andre, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you, man. Hold on, let me see here. Andre says an American president trusts the Russian president word over his own CIA. Exactly. Bruh, your agents don't have ChatGPT on their phones. Come on. Dude. And they're leaking shit. Their own CIA told them don't use signal chat, and they were like, "Man, who do you liberal think you are? We're going to use we're going to use it. Not only are we going to use signal chat, but we're going to use it again and again and again. And if you don't like it, liberal, F you. This is my country. I'm taking it back." I mean, okay. You know, I mean, but at least we know who they do respect. Who do they respect?
Aimed at banning mail-in.
Vladimir Putin told me this.
When that will happen, and yes, it will likely face legal challenges if and when he does. But the president said that the topic came up actually during his Friday meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Vladimir Putin, smart guy, said you can't have an honest election with mail-in voting. And he said there's not a country in the world that uses it now.
Mail-in ballots are corrupt.
There's not a country in the world that uses it now. Okay, maggots. Only MAGA people, y'all. Please, only MAGA people. Put a 1 in the chat if what Trump just said is true.
Voting. And he said there's not a country in the world that uses it now.
Is there not a country in the world that uses it now? MAGA people, put a 1 in the chat if there's not a country in the world that uses it now. Thomas Tau said there's not a country in the world that uses mail-in ballots, mail-in voting. Is that a correct statement or is that a wrong statement? Come on. You know what this is about. Why these people always get like this? Oh, all of a sudden we don't know what you're talking about. They did that to the White House press secretary when she was out there. Caroline, we covered it yesterday, where all of a sudden they were talking about crime and cleaning up DC, and the reporter asked her about fraud in the DOJ with donors, with wealthy donors, and she was like, I never heard of that person's name. I don't know what he's even talking about. Same thing Trump says. You know what we're talking about. Let me do it again. Is this true? Listen.
Vladimir Putin, smart guy, said you can't have an honest election with mail-in voting. And he said there's not a country in the world that uses it now.
Mail-in.
He says there's not a country in the world that uses it now. Is that correct? Put a 1 in the chat if that's correct. Put a 2 in the chat if that is incorrect. If there's not a country in the world that uses mail-in ballots, put a 1 in the chat. If there are loads of countries that use mail-in ballots, put a 2 in the chat. I mean, again, I got to stop being fair as a liberal. I chose 2, but pretty soon I'm going to have to choose 2 with a gun in my hand. Like, because these people want to give me that 2. I'm going to rip that goddamn 2 up. That 2 doesn't exist. You know, it's like the Twilight Zone out here. You know what I'm saying? Come on. Can I get 1 maggot to put up 1? I mean, so that means you MAGAs believe, you understand here that not only was Putin lying to Trump, but Trump actually believed the goddamn lie. I mean, that's what I want to know. Are we clear, everybody? Did Putin lie to Trump and Trump believe him and repeat the same lie to the American people? Put a yes in the chat if that's what we just watched. I'm going to wait around for this. Anyway, put a yes if we just watched Putin lie to Trump and Trump believe it and then tell the rest of the American people and repeat the same damn lie. If we just witnessed that, say yes. You could also say hell yes, Lord yes, amen yes to that. We can say F yeah. F yeah will also do. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, really, I'm in real time here. Listen, no matter if you're a liberal or Democrat, when you come to investigate and evaluate something, you really have to do the job. You just got to be about doing the job. And wherever that job leads you, correct this time or incorrect this time, you got to be up for that scientific process. Otherwise, you go back to the Stone Ages. That's really what this is about. Let's listen to some more of this garbage.
Mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never have a real democracy with mail-in ballots. And we, as a Republican Party, are going to do everything possible that we get rid of mail-in ballots.
Mail-in ballots are not corrupt. Election experts have been very clear.
Thank you. But then again, this is CNN, liberal media saying it. That's maggots. Can't believe it. No. Maggots, warning sign, y'all. Don't listen to CNN. They said that mail-in ballots do exist.
There's no evidence of widespread mail-in ballot fraud or widespread voter fraud, period. And other countries, there are a slew of other countries that do use some form of mail-in ballots. Still, how do voters feel about this right now, since this is a topic that the president's going to continue to push? Harry Enton is here and is checking the numbers for us. How do voters in general feel about?
Now, here are some more liberal lies. Maggots, here are more. I'm going to warn you. If you are a maggot, then beware. Here, I'm warning you. Here are some more liberal lies. Close your ears. Close your eyes. Do not watch. For you liberal folks, continue watching, and we're going to have a decent, respectful, civilized dialogue after.
About mail-in voting.
Yeah, they feel that Donald Trump is full of BS. What are we talking about here? Let's take a look here. Allow anyone to vote earlier by absentee. In 2020, it was about 2/3. You get 65%. Years after years after years that Donald Trump has been complaining about mail-in voting. Where'd the numbers stand in 2024? Basically the same. 60% of voters say that anyone should be allowed to vote either early or by absentee without needing an excuse. And that actually includes, get this, even 37% of Republicans. You have a substantial portion of Republicans who believe that voters should be in fact allowed to vote either early or absentee without an excuse. So the bottom
60. Okay, hold on. 37% of Republicans. Did I get that right? So that means 37. That means 63% of Republicans support that. Okay, but 37% is really all you would need on an issue like that. That would do more than tilt the scales. I mean, obviously, because there's other issues out there, but yeah, you have to remember how well Republicans are doing on other issues right now. It doesn't look pretty good. But in any case, let's listen to some more.
With Donald Trump, they think he's full of it.
Well, and this gets back to the 2020 election, is where the basis of this comes from, and because in the president's false view that it was.
Oh, let's be clear. Who said that? Yeah, independent fellow. You know, let's be honest. Trump always has a problem with voting in elections when he's in office. It's always after a few months that he's like, damn, we're going to lose the next election. We better stop election. We better stop voting. We better do something about the voting laws. It's always after he has won an election, it is sitting in office. So first of all, let's forget trying to guess what's in his head. It seems to me that anyone who does this is only doing it because they are more obsessed with power than the job they're doing. Simple. You know, it's like, how can you win an election, claim that it was real, and then as soon as you got power, try to cancel the next election? That's all this is about. Trying to cancel voting, trying to even cancel election. The man has already floated the idea publicly in the meeting with Zelensky that, hey, if we happen to be in a war, we could cancel the election. And Zelensky said, you would like that, wouldn't you? And Trump would like that. And guess what? When you start talking things like that, you said it in the public, every American heard it, every American should prepare for war, basically. I mean, prepare for it. Don't be stupid because, see, you have media that is floating allowed that idea to get into the populace. The populace gets fear because it's the president who's saying it. So we have to take it serious. There's no Congress that's taking it serious and admonishing him for it. So we have to take it serious. There's no Supreme Court that is admonishing him for these kind of things. So you have no choice. Even if it sounds like the stupidest idea on earth, you don't have a choice but to take it serious because it could be. Nothing is stopping that from possibly happening. So, oh well, the new America, might as well prepare.
It was that this
It's
led
so
to
crazy,
him,
it's tough to
that,
get
no, that this led to him losing the election, that he actually did win the election. So he says, still, regardless, I digress. How do voters feel about the 2020 election now?
Yeah, exactly right. This is all based upon the Fugazi idea that Biden didn't legitimately win the election. But again, voters think that Donald Trump is full of it. Biden's 2020 election was legit. Look at this. In December of 2020, look at that. It was 60%. In December of 2024, again, after Donald Trump has been arguing year after year after year that somehow that the election wasn't legit, which of course everybody who knows what they're talking about disagrees with them on because the election was legit. The voters are with the side of truth in this situation. 63% of them believe that Biden's win was legit despite the garbage coming.
Look, if Trump believes none of these elections are legit, then it's obvious that he's only saying it because he's the president. Because once he's not the president, he will want an election himself. You see, he won't want the next president who's not a Republican or who's not even that it's about party. He won't want the next president who is pro-people and anti-oligarchy. He won't want that president to cancel an election. He won't want that president to get rid of mail-in voting. See, that's what this is about. Corporate oligarchy interest. It's not about liberal and MAGA. It's the corporate oligarchy that use those, that frame things that way. And when you watch Fox News, you're watching corporate oligarchy news. CNN is corporate oligarchy news. I mean, it's a corporation. They got a tax break. They benefit from Trump's tax breaks. And I'm not saying you can't speak, you can't give facts while being a corporation. I'm just saying, as American citizens, we have to be real. We're citizens. We need shit to work. We pay taxes. So we need clean water. We need access to education. We need we need health care, right? We need fair housing. We need jobs that pay a living wage. There can be no job. There should be no job that doesn't pay a living wage. A person shouldn't have to travel from another state where the rent is $200 a month to work in a state where the rent is $1,000, $2,000 a month on average, just to make a check where they could take back home to that other state and afford to stay in their house. That's what's happening in the U.S. And that's why you got so many homeless people. So Trump would never say, I tell you what, Trump would never want Bernie Sanders to say that, to be the president and say that, well, we should cancel these votes. How about we just cancel the whole? Hey, if Bernie Sanders was the president, I'm not saying he's perfect, but he's damn sure better than Trump and damn sure speaks a lot about classism in America, which is the real underlying struggle here. At least it's one we could all get engaged with, right? Of course, with AOC discussing it too, no pun intended, because she is just as fantastic, right? And others that get this idea. If we had one of those presidents, if we had an AOC talking about canceling the elections, MAGA people, would you say it's okay? Put a 1 in the chat if it's okay. Put a 2 in the chat if it's not, MAGA people. If AOC was the president talking about canceling mail-in voting, would you support it? Put a 1 in the chat. If you wouldn't support it, put a 2. Only MAGA people, y'all. Liberals, let the MAGA folks, let's learn from them, their wishes for a second. MAGA supporters, if you support a AOC being president and canceling the mail-in voting and even canceling elections, press 1. Is this a sneak liberal in there, dude? Dude hard, are you sure you're not a liberal just playing? All right. Only MAGAs. Look, just remember this, y'all. There appear to be MAGAs that say, yeah, cancel the election, even if it's her, and cancel and cancel mail-in voting. I mean, come on, MAGAs. There's more MAGAs out there than two. Come on, y'all. If AOC was the president, would you support? Oh, dude, hard, you know. Whatever, man. You trolling, man. I don't know, man. Well, I don't know if you left or right or whatever you are. You joking around. All right. MAGA people. Let me say this one more time and then move on. MAGA people, MAGA supporters, Trump supporters. If AOC was the president, if AOC was the president and she said we need to cancel mail-in voting, would you agree? Would you support it? Put a 1 in the chat if you would support AOC saying, let's cancel mail-in ballots. I'm going to give it a second. Okay, so the same MAGA people, I'm going to ask you this. How would military people, active duty military, vote? How would active military people vote? Putin didn't say there would be exceptions, Ryan. Trump didn't say there would be exceptions. You're not the president. So, and Trump didn't say that. So you can't say you know what Trump is thinking either. Trump hasn't said that. Of course, there's exceptions in every country, okay, that has mail-in ballots. Everyone. No, I'm asking everybody, Ryan. I'm not asking you. You answered though, so I did give you another question back, but I'm not asking you specifically. I'm asking everybody. How you said that military would get an exception, so that's not canceling mail-in ballots. Got it. Very simple. You want to do something else, and what it is you want to do is have mail-in ballots with exceptions for different groups of people, that which we already have. So no need to cancel anything, Don't change what works. The dude is president. I mean, come on, even according to your standards, you wanted him to be president. He's president. Why would you see MAGA people, they want their cake and eat it too. They want their cake and eat it too. And Democrats have to start speaking that kind of language, because liberals don't think that way. They don't think they can have their cake and eat it too. They say, let's do things fairly. Let's be honest. Let's do things comprehensively, right? And find out where we can learn something new, But I think we're dealing with a group of people that only understand taking what you want and having it both ways. And I think that's been exhibited, pretty much throughout this dialogue today. But let's go ahead. Let's listen to some more.
It's coming out of Donald Trump's mouth.
But what specifically about mail-in voting regarding 2020 and 2024?
Right, exactly. So let's talk about mail-in voting, right? Mail votes counted as the voters intended. Voters who are confident that was the case. 59% of voters were.
Well, let me change that. For a MAGA person, having your cake and eat it too only means kicking out some Hispanics and some Negroes, pretty much. That's pretty much all it means. They don't even want disaster relief. You know what I'm saying? So in a MAGA world, having your cake and eat it too, but I'm talking about in terms of the arguments, just these simple arguments. You guys go for race baiting. That's what you guys go for. So, if the president says, if Trump says cancel voting elections, you don't even think, the first thing you think is, what the hell do you think? If you don't understand that canceling mail-in ballots stops active duty military from voting, if you don't understand that, you shouldn't even be talking at all on the topic. You should, because that is the majority of mail-in ballots. That's a huge, maybe if it's not the majority, it's a huge part of that. You see, so to even frame it that way is idiotic because you're not talking about that. You're talking about something else. So learn to speak specific language to your own voters. Stop baiting them. And that's what they do in their dialogue, you know?
We're in fact confident, the clear majority in 2020. And of course, we just had an election in 2024. Look at that. 75% of voters believe
Saline, you're right.
The mail votes were counted as intended. And of course, this rise in confidence is due to Republicans going from 19% to 72%. I just think that this whole idea that Donald Trump is trying to push really just doesn't stay with the American people. He should move on to other issues and shouldn't be taking political advice from
and look, and check this out. Hold on.
Vladimir Putin, who I can't.
Yeah, and that's the thing about all of that. You saw this whole media cycle. It's a distraction, obviously. So that this shows you, thinking people, this trip with Vladimir Putin was only a distraction from the Epstein files. Because think about how fast the media cycle went on it. It started off with just a simple, stupid statement from Trump after the meeting. The Trump's statement wasn't even about it. Listen to this. It started here.
I love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said, your country is like hot as... Oh, Vladimir Putin said something, one of the most interesting things. He said, your election was rigged because you have mail-in voting. He said mail-in voting, every election. He said no country has mail-in voting. It's impossible to have mail-in voting and have...
This is less than 24 hours after the meeting with Putin when he just said it. Vladimir said this. Trump had no thought about that. Nothing. Vladimir says it. He goes out to the public and says it. And now the data is coming back. And now the data is coming back saying that it's negative for him. And of course, they don't mind because their whole thing is to be a distraction. Continue the conversation. They don't care. They just want to take up media space explaining how Democrats didn't understand us when the president said that no other country has mail-in voting. When the president said Putin told him that, he never told you he believed it. See, that's you liberals. He just said the canceling no other country has it. I'm sorry. Obviously, Trump is a lying ass. He's an excellent liar. He's a what do you call it? A compulsive liar. He's a narcissist. No normal human being can keep up with it. And a lot of it is really just distraction about Epstein stuff. I mean, seriously, a lot of it really is.
Of the meeting today, doing, I don't know, a 180 or even something slightly short of that yet again. I mean, what does that mean for Donald Trump in the United States being the peace broker here?
Well, you've continued to see the president flip-flop on his positions. I mean, he went into the summit on Friday with two objectives: to achieve a ceasefire, and if that didn't happen, there would be severe consequences put on Russia. And both of those objectives really fell apart. So I think today's meeting...
This was the threat. You know, he told Putin, if you don't do this, it's going to be serious consequences. And what we're seeing here is the serious consequence, a red carpet meeting.
If it's now, you know, we need a ceasefire back on the table, we're accustomed to seeing President Trump flip his positions. I think what's dangerous here is the United States losing its credibility on the world stage to be able to really broker peace deals and to be taken seriously. At the end of the day, what makes
Trump's not taken seriously on the world stage. You know, what people are doing right now is adapting because they want to survive. So what they found out is that they found it out through Putin. If you compliment Trump, Trump will believe anything. He really loves a compliment. So your best way of getting something out of Trump is to first adorn him with compliments. That's how his psychology works. He's a narcissist, so he cannot resist it. So the European group after Putin. So see, this always comes down to who's with Trump last. That's what it comes down to. So Putin, he came in playing hard. He came in confident. Boom, I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity because I got my boy by the balls. Yeah, He's right. He does. Everyone saw that. Donald Trump came out verbatim quoting Putin and then going on to say, hey, by the way, we're going to implement this, and this is how. That's what you literally saw. Then you saw the EU, NATO, come and meet with him after that and adorn him with praise. And they actually got something out of the man. This is crazy.
What makes the United States a great and powerful nation is our steadiness and our being able to lead nations all around the world. And so that's why the president's words really matter. And when you hear that flip-flopping of positions, it makes European leaders, the Ukrainians, and others around the world very skeptical about each time they have a conversation with the president.
And as we know from our Elaine Natrine was just talking about, the main goal today is to get to a place of having a trilateral meeting next. I mean, from just a communications perspective.
Look at this. Hold on, y'all.
And President.
Oh my God! Hold on. I want to thank the user. The man, the legend. I'm gonna put this out of just being fair. He says this host still lives on a Democrat plantation. Actually, I don't. I live in Copenhagen, Denmark. I don't. I'm an American citizen that lives in Copenhagen, Denmark. There's no Democratic Party that doesn't. That's actually a centrist party here, the Social Democrats. They're not the leftist party. But just to give you some enlightenment on that. But my kids and I do all have in Denmark, as everyone else, universal education and universal health care. That means that unlike Democratic policy and Republican policy in the U.S., here, left and right policy agree that universal education and universal health care is what strengthens the society best, right? So that means that after they have that, they figured out a way to do that and make sure that after everyone has paid their taxes, paid their housing expenses, paid for all those essentials together, Danish citizens take home more money and EU citizens take home more money in their pocket than Americans do and always have. So they found out a way to chew bubblegum and walk. So no, I don't live in a Democratic plantation. I actually live outside of the country and I'm looking in now. I grew up, born and raised. My family on both sides goes back all the way to the beginning of the country before the Civil War, right? And I live outside of the U.S. as an adult with my children. So I'm reporting back, sir. But thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Nonetheless, it's kind of cheap, bro. You know, come on, step it up, though. I mean, nobody has to do this, but I appreciate it, though, for another reason. You know, but I read a lot of people's comments without them putting up any money. So just so you know that. But I appreciate it anyway, your comment more than the $2. All right, let's go.
Zelensky is not on board with, a trilateral meeting, and Putin's not on board with a trilateral meeting. I mean, what does Donald Trump do next? If the trilateral meeting is like the prize that he's trying to achieve, short of actually ending the war, I mean, what are the chances?
Listen, Dude Hard said, well, they cannot defend their territory on their own, but sure. So what territory? What are you talking about? Who's invading Denmark? Nobody's invading Denmark. But by the way, I don't think you're aware of this. Denmark is creating a lot of weapons. Not sure if you know that, and the EU just sent out a lot of money to each EU state, which Denmark is also a part of, not just NATO, but also the EU, for weapons manufacturing and financing, right? So, Denmark is not worried about defending their territory any more than any other country is, especially the U.S., right? Or any other country. China is interested. Russia seems to be. Do you support Russia defending their territory or their claim to what they call their territory? I think you kind of being unbiased. The fact of the matter is that The United States should be able to do health care for all of its citizens and education better than any other country on earth because it's the most wealthiest and most powerful one on earth. But it has failed to do that. It is not good at providing for its citizens, not providing their equal share, what they pay into it. No, corruption, like Elon Musk, like Donald Trump, is what the problem is, sir. And you can't manipulate Danes or anyone else into not seeing that because they see it very clearly.
Do you think they actually get there today?
I think it's going to be really hard and very difficult. I mean, a trilateral meeting, while I understand that is the White House's...
Yeah, so we know that Trump shit is really a distraction. We know that. It's all a distraction for so people don't actually have to keep listening to the Epstein files. And just like Joe Rogan said, is Fox News corporate media news? Did they get benefits from Trump's tax break? Do they get the same benefit that CNN got? Do you listen and believe anything on Fox News while they get the corporate benefits? Do you? If you're a MAGA person and you're watching Fox News and you actually believe what they say, it basically means you're sucking up corporate news. Myself, I'm giving dimension to my arguments. I'm living outside of the U.S. CNN is not, MSNBC is not. I'm showing you Fox. I'm showing you CNN. I'm showing you Central, left, right. And I'm doing commentary on it outside, bringing other perspective to the conversation. If you don't like that, if you don't like different perspective, hey, bruh, it's all on you. I appreciate you being here anyway, but it doesn't change my rational thinking mind. It doesn't change my methodical thinking mind. You know, when I go into projects, I like to know what I'm doing and I like to know what I'm talking about before I even begin. So let's listen to the guy who was pumping and trumping for Trump for years, saying many of the things you MAGA people also say. Many of the things. Let's listen to what he thinks about Trump. Oh, look at this. See, this explains it all. The man, the legend, says this host was raised by a woman. You could tell. So that proves the point. So you obviously must be a Joe Rogan fan but the problem is you don't like Joe Rogan when he doesn't say something you don't like. What he said is that all this stuff Trump is doing is a distraction to the Epstein files. And if he wasn't in it and he wasn't afraid of what's in it about him, he would have just released the files. So there you have it. I have two parents. I was raised by both of them. Had a very close relationship with my father, him owning his own business. By the way, was a fine artist. And also served in the military and, was with him doing work, as I was told, as a young man since I was 7 years old. I never, ever told my pops no. Anytime my pops called me by my name, I came running to him and asked him what he want. He told me what he needed me to do, and I would go do it. So I don't know what the hell you talking about, the man, the legend. I don't know what kind of relationship you got with your father, but I learned how many different trades. I didn't even have to go to trade school learning and working with my father. I don't know what you guys don't know how to stay in your lane when you're hearing good political commentary. You have to go to insults that only really show how twisted you are in your own mind. You out here projecting, talking about this guy was raised by a woman. And so what if I was? I have a mother and a father. So what? So what, you bigot? So what, you bigot? You are a bigot. That's your problem. You can't see straight. If your name's not in them, you think you want everyone to see them. Exactly. So that's Joe Rogan's perspective. And he said that a million times, and yet he's losing a lot of Republican fans right now. But he doesn't really care. Obviously, that's just what it is. And there's not much you could do about it. But let me chime in here. Don't worry about, listen, just my advice is I like to keep the chat open. My advice is try not to make misogynistic statements too often. Some people don't realize it when they're making it, and that's fair enough. But if I address it, you have to understand that there are limits to how far I'm going to let it go. And it's not, I don't mean misogynistic statements about me, because goddamn, I actually have a very close relationship my entire life with my father, working for him, taking his orders and being very blessed because of it. I love, really, really appreciating that from my dad, that he actually taught me trades before I even had to go to high school. You see what I mean? Like, I'm really the type of person that never said no to a request that my father made. I don't even know what that's like. You see what I'm saying? Which is why I've traveled the world myself and seen many things of myself, because I can and was taught to do for myself. But I'm not stupid. Collective bargaining is obviously in the greater interest of any society by its people. So I respect that too. You need the yin and the yang. You need both sides to be a strong individual. You need individual strength and you need collective strength. Otherwise, it doesn't pan out. And that's what we're seeing in the United States of America. It's not panning out. Now, back to this Epstein stuff. Let's take a look.
New York Post. Here are the most noteworthy and, yes, pretty charged comments by congressional members following former Attorney General Bill Barr's closed-door deposition on August 18, 2025. What Congress members said. Speaker reactions. Representative James Comer, RCI, Oversight Committee Chair, called Barr's deposition revealing and said he shed a lot of light on the Epstein case. New York Post highlighted security lapses at Metropolitan Correctional Center, namely blind spots in the cameras during Epstein's death. New York Post expressed optimism about receiving documents, emphasizing transparency and coordination with the DOJ. The Washington Post accused Democrats of politicizing the investigation. Fox News rep Jasmine Crockett, D. Texas, frustrated with the direction of the investigation. We have more questions now than we did going in, and we want more answers and more people to talk to. New York Post criticized GOP questioning as performative, stating, open quote, "It seems like they are going through the motions. I don't think that we've learned anything through the Republican questioning that you couldn't find in one of the articles." Fox News rep Suhas Subramaniam, Diva, close quote, echoed dissatisfaction with the Republican-led questioning, saying, open quote, "I think the Democratic side is doing most of the heavy lifting, and I don't think we're learning much from the questioning from the House Republicans." Fox Newsflash, statements on document release and transparency, close quote. Representative Robert Garcia, D. Califf, ranking member, called for full, complete, and unredacted release of Epstein-related files, including the so-called client list, warned that failure to deliver would confirm a Trump-Epstein cover-up. He said, open quote, "We will not stop until we have true justice for the victims and transparency for the American people." OversightDemocrats.HouseGov, Representative Jasmine Crockett, D. Texas, on X, formerly Twitter, close quote, demanded immediate unredacted file delivery. Open quote, DOJ owes us the Epstein files beginning tomorrow. All of them. Client list included, no delays, no redactions, no excuses. Straight arrow news, close quote. Summary, table. Lawmaker, party position. Key statement. Key statement. Ames Comer, RKI, Oversight Chair. Claimed deposition was illuminating. Stressed camera blind spots and transparency. Jasmine Crockett, D. Texas, said the deposition raised more questions and criticism.
Listen, the man at the legend, don't worry. I appreciate everybody's comments, but if you persist in just being so, talking about people's family members that you don't know, just focusing on that angle because you don't know what you're talking about, then I am going to eventually have to block your ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, your comments, I'm just saying, I'm not going to let somebody who keeps making personal comments distract everyone else. So, and at the same time, I'm not going to just let these personal kind of comments ride without me addressing them. So the easiest way to do it is to just block you. Now, do you want me to just block you, or can you just stay off of the personal comments? It's you who started with, he must have been raised by a woman. First of all, that's misogynistic. Secondly, that's not true. I was raised by a man and a woman in a home together. Okay. My father was a fine artist who was born and raised in Washington, D.C. He went to GW University. He served in the military. Also, I had a very close relationship with my father. I told you that already. So you don't know anything about that. So can you just quit with the personal statements so I don't have to block you and so you can continue to be part of the show? Okay, so you're not going to stop. This guy is just like, I get it now. No problem. We just time him out a little bit. There you go. Come on now, y'all. Just be a little bit of, be what you want, but I hope that's a lesson. Now, I just happened to see his comments. Now, I'm going to let this play. What they're describing is different news networks' responses to Bill Barr's testimony. Then something else we're going to follow up on. Some news people need to know and we need to discuss.
Criticized GOP questioning. Suhas Subramaniam, Diva, criticized Republicans, saying Democrats are doing the heavy
I hear you,
lifting.
Anthony.
Robert Garcia, DCANG member, demanded full unredacted Epstein files, warned against a cover-up. What makes these statements stand out? Partisan clash. Republicans view the deposition as a step forward in accountability, whereas Democrats are signaling they remain unconvinced and want deeper transparency. Transparency versus obstruction. Democrats are pushing hard for unfiltered documentation, while Republicans emphasize cooperation and the need for redactions to protect victims. The chase continues. Calls for more depositions, e.g. the Clintons' Merrick Garland, and document releases indicate the public phase of this confrontation is just ramping up. If you'd like, I can keep an eye out for updates, like when the redacted documents start arriving, or how the next round of witnesses shakes out.
Okay, I actually asked another question. So it says, please. Oh, right. Okay, please do that. But hold on. Let me see. Let's go to the next one.
Forbes, absolutely. Here's what's unfolding right now. Upcoming moves, what to watch. 1.
I asked if they're going to release the fully redacted or redacted and what parts would be redacted. And what I found out is that apparently in the news cycle, Republicans in that committee are trying to get a version that they describe it here that redacts not just the victims, but also other individuals that visited Epstein Island that for one reason or another are not directly connected to any criminal, blah, blah, blah. And it seems so strange to me because it's like, again, if you didn't do anything, why aren't you for the best interests of the country and just letting the country move past Epstein? If you didn't do anything, What's the problem? We all know that he had somebody cutting the grass. We all know that he had people working for him on, as guards. We all know he had staff. We all know he had visitors and friends. And we all know that every visitor is not a person that was aware of what was going on. So what is the problem? But they are literally moving. The Republicans are moving to redact more names, not just the victims.
DOJ documents incoming this week. The Department of Justice is set to start delivering Epstein-related records to the House Oversight Committee this Friday, per Chairman Rep. James Comer, Archive. Forbes, these records will undergo redaction to protect sensitive content, including victims' identities and child sexual abuse material. The Wall Street Journal. Once vetted, the committee plans to publicly release portions of these documents to promote transparency. The Wall Street Journal #2. Subpoenas for more depositions. In addition to Bill Barr, the committee has issued subpoenas to several high-profile figures for closed-door depositions scheduled through October. Hillary Clinton, October 9th, Bill Clinton, October 14th. Other subpoenas include Merrick Garland, Jeff Sessions, Loretta Lynch, Eric Holder, Alberto Gonzalez, James Comey, and Robert Mueller. AP News. Summary table, event, details. DOJ file delivery, starting this Friday with redactions for privacy and legal compliance. Public release. The committee intends to make some records public post-redaction. Witness schedule. Depositions continue through October. Key figures include the Clintons, Garland, Comey, Mueller, and others. Let me know if you'd like me to track when those documents actually land, summarize the public reactions, or...
It's not landed already. You're incorrect. I don't know who's spreading this. I think you might be mixing it up with another attempt to get these files. There's more than one attempt to get at these files happening at one time.
Or follow upcoming deposition testimonies once they happen.
See, look at the question.
Great question. This has actually been a major point of tension between the DOJ and Congress right now. Based on the latest reporting, Forbes, WSJ, AP, WAPO, Augur 2025, what DOJ says it will redact: victims and minors, names and identifying details of those who were sexually exploited or otherwise harmed, sexual abuse materials, any evidence that legally qualifies as CSAM, child sexual abuse material, sensitive personal information, things like addresses, phone numbers, SSNs, and other private data. What DOJ has not promised to release: the DOJ has not committed to releasing the names of third parties, e.g. associates, friends, or alleged clients of Epstein.
You hear that? So the alleged clients of Epstein won't be released, or the DOJ is fighting the release of that.
Unless they were directly charged, publicly named in trial evidence, or otherwise part of the public record.
Unless they were directly charged, but no one else has been, right? Or mentioned. And see, they kept such a narrow scope on the investigations. But for whatever reason, Trump and the Biden administration, right? You could say, but Biden says he doesn't interfere with the DOJ. He believes in an independent DOJ. Trump doesn't. So the connotation is that what the DOJ does under Trump is what Trump wanted. The connotation is what the DOJ did under Biden. Maybe he didn't want it. That's the connotation. You don't have to believe it. I'm not saying believe it, but let's hear that one more time.
Sensitive personal information, things like addresses, phone numbers, SSNs, and other private data. What DOJ has not promised to release: the DOJ has not committed to releasing the names of third parties, e.g. associates, friends, or alleged clients of Epstein, unless they were directly charged, publicly named in trial evidence, or otherwise part of the public record. Officials argue that releasing uncharged individuals' names could violate privacy rights and due process protections. Where Congress pushes back, Republicans, like Chairman James Comer, say they expect transparency, but seem willing to accept some redactions. Democrats, like Ranking Member Robert Garcia and Rep. Jasmine Crockett, are demanding that the so-called client list and all unredacted names of associates be made public, arguing it's in the public interest. There's already chatter that DOJ...
So is it in the public's interest that all the files be released and only victims redacted? Is that in the public interest? If you believe that's in the public interest, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't believe it's in the public interest, put a 2 in the chat. I just want to see what people think. It doesn't matter if you left or right. If you believe that releasing the files with only redacting the victims is in the best of the public interest, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't believe it's in the best of the public's interest, put a 2 in the chat. Okay, Salima put 1. Let me see. Yeah, who put 1? Yeah, Saul and Chele. Okay. Tommy Lee put 1. Tommy Lee Fort. Okay, Tommy Lee. Appreciate that. Let's see who else. Okay, taking notes. Dude hard. Okay. Snacka do dance. Dude hard. Du danska dude hard. Skrill till Bavis du är. Keeping it real wrote 1. It's important to note that, and you can also put your party affiliation if you want to. Put 1 in the chat with your party affiliation. If you believe it's in the best interest of the country to release all the files with only redacting the victims at the most. Yeah. And if you disagree with that, put a 2 in the chat and give me your party affiliation. Okay, Ryan is a Republican. Okay. All right. Thank you, Ryan. I can tell, by the way. Put a. Oh my goodness. Okay, there you go. Keeping it real, Republican. Okay, Thorben. Thorben says 1. Thorben, what's up? Är du danska? Var du fra? Let me see here. Okay. Hey, again, your ass. Dim. Okay, taking notes is a dim. Ryan said, I just asked. Yep, I did. Bipartisan. Okay. Okay, du ik danska. Okay, Thorben. Var du fra? All right. I don't see why everyone, me and myself, my thoughts are simple. If I know that there could be the possibility of espionage, because again, this is not just about the victims, it's what was going on there. If I know that that this could have been a honeypot operation and that espionage could have taken place, which has been alleged, then I don't see why anyone would be against releasing, I don't see why anyone would not see the importance of releasing the files with only the victim redactions. I even heard some of the victims don't even want redactions anymore. They don't care. Their names are out there, a lot of them. But I don't see why that would be such why people would be opposed to it in any way, shape, or form. I don't see why anyone would vote against that. And I'm going to tell you, for you Republican people out there that understand where I'm coming from with this, I appreciate you, because at the very least, we can try to be, if we can't be factual about this basic thing, then what the hell? What the hell? There's no hope. So, but Democrats, also, I'm glad to see a lot of Dems, because the allegation from some Republicans is that Bill Clinton is a part of that shit. Even some people were like trying to say that Hillary Clinton was drinking baby blood on Epstein Island. I mean, those are that's disinformation, of course, but some people go for that and press that issue. So for me, I don't see why anyone would want anybody that wants to get to any resolution with this or have justice, not just for the girls, the victims, but for America. Because it's possibly crimes where people were blackmailed because of this stuff, you know, Democrat or Republican. I would damn sure want to get to the bottom of this. And I don't see how covering up who was there, who was around him, who for whatever reason should be something people will want to do. But in any case, let me just let this continue.
Jay's redactions could become a flashpoint with accusations of a cover-up if names of high-profile figures are blacked out. So to answer you directly, the DOJ has committed to redacting more than just victims' names. They're also planning to hide the identities of uncharged associates, staff, and anyone tangentially connected whose exposure could be considered unfair or unlawful. Would you like me to break down how Congress could legally fight DOJ redactions? For example,
so my question is, are you going to vote for any representative that voted to hide information? Are you going to do that, Republican or Democrat? Put a 1 in the chat if you're going to vote for someone who voted against the release of these files and voted for more redactions than just the victims. Put a 1 in the chat if you're going to vote for a person like that. Put a 2 in the chat if you're not. Then we're going to get up out of here. Put a 1, daggone, let me make sure I got this right. The question is, are you going to vote for anyone who voted to do more redactions than just the victims, or voted to cover up information from the Epstein files getting released? Are you going to vote again for a person who made that vote? Put a 1 in the chat if you are. Put a 2 in the chat if you're not. It doesn't matter what party you with. I'm just curious. You can put your party though if you want. I would never vote. I'm a Dem. I would never vote for somebody that's hiding anything about this shit. And I think that, you know, even there's a question about victims too. I think victims should consider, some of the victims said they don't mind, but I'm willing to make an exception with the victims. But anybody else, I'm not willing to make an exception with, you know. Robert Gold said, I don't vote on a single issue. Well, let me ask you, do you believe in universal health care in the USA? Okay. Yeah, I didn't see too many people responding to that question, so I'm going to leave it at that. But in any case, I'm out, y'all. It's been a minute. Actually, this is I only meant to come on for 1 hour. It's actually amazing, you know, that the time flies with folks. I guess we having, in some way, we're having a good conversation, and that's great. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you for a favor. When the video stops, when I cut the live short, in the commentary, do me a favor, let me know some of the topics you want me to cover in the commentary if you have a few moments once the stream ends. I would appreciate that. It doesn't matter what party you're from. You know, I just want to hear. And this is not a question only for Americans, just anybody in the international community listening also. It could be an international topic. It could be anything. Let me know what you want to hear me cover, because yeah, I just want to make sure I'm not missing some things. And of course, I want to raise the value a little bit. I'm making a few changes, so yeah, I'm thinking about more than just what I view as a good idea. So I'd appreciate that help. For those of you that haven't subscribed, subscribe. Click like on the video. If you want to become a member, you can become a member and support the channel that way also. But I appreciate people who are just listening in general. That does support me as well. And I appreciate that, because I really do care about my country, and I really do want to be used as a person that can facilitate some decent dialogue on the topic, so we can hopefully save our damn country. You know, on that note, I'm going to be out. I appreciate everybody. Y'all be good for the day, and I will catch up with you all in the next 24 hours. Again, bless. Leave your comments about what you want me to cover after the video ends in the comment section. I appreciate y'all. Release the Epstein files. Bless.
They want war. Crying babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe. People subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day and every clue. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Leaving 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct. And I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink. But I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die. You voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like the lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers. Cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in the way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute, you might hear. But they won't, cause the TVs whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear. And they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an app, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more. But they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.